Donald Trump is having such a hard time grasping with the fact that he now has a very competent Democrat on the other side of the ticket from him, that his concerns are now bleeding over into both his staff and, of course, his donors. According to a new report from the Washington Post, Donald Trump's donors are starting to sound the alarm bells over the fact that he clearly doesn't know how to run his campaign other than running it into the ground. Here is what the Post reported. Reuters, not the Washington Post, sorry. A dozen insiders told Reuters that donors and campaign staffers have abandoned hopes of a landslide election win after finding themselves unprepared, strategically and financially, to position Donald Trump against the newly presumptive Democratic nominee. It doesn't change the map as much as shrink it, a Trump campaign staffer told Reuters. Now there's no reason to talk about places like New Jersey anymore. Campaign staffers are grasping to find a strategy to combat Harris's attacks on Trump's criminal conviction, Vance's scorn for childless Americans, and the MAGA movement's perceived weirdness. The Trump campaign also finds itself on the defensive as Republican donors raise concerns about Trump's vicious attacks on Harris's racial identity and on Georgia Governor Brian Kemp's wife, sources reportedly said. That left donors and aides baffled and alarmed, according to a Republican donor, an operative at a pro-Trump super PAC spending group, and a Trump-supporting union leader. So, the donors are panicked. They're not just panicked because Trump clearly doesn't know how to run a campaign against a highly competent Democrat, but they're also concerned about the fact that this guy's still out there attacking other Republicans. Like very popular Republicans. Brian Kemp, who Trump is attacking along with his wife, is one of the most popular governors in the United States. You may not agree with him on any issues, but in the state of Georgia, his approval rating is in the high 60s, which makes him one of the most popular of their states in the country. And the report actually gets even worse. The Republican National Committee and the campaign have been fielding calls from some donors who fear Vance has become a distraction and is dragging down the ticket. A Trump senior advisor told Reuters, quote, "It's clear to everyone Harris could win." Corey Lewandowski, a longtime Trump advisor, said, quote, "The race has changed. There's a lot of us that wanted to very actively run against Joe Biden. We felt very good about our race. Now they're all super sad because you don't get to run against the easy guy. And I'm sorry if you love Biden. He was not a good candidate, which is why he stepped down. And we got a good candidate now, Democrats, so let's be happy." And these people were more than excited. As Corey Lewandowski said, we wanted Biden. Biden was the easy one. Now we don't know what to do. But it doesn't matter that the campaign doesn't know what to do, that Trump's advisors don't know what to do. He's filled his campaign staff with young people with virtually no political experience. The ones at the top have a little bit, but not much. He's listening to his idiot sons give him advice about what to do instead of the strategist. Everything is going poorly for him. But all of that is secondary to the Republican donors, because that's the one that hurts the party the most. Because here's what happens. These donors are not just going to stop giving money to Donald Trump. They're going to stop giving money this cycle. Not all of them, sure. Okay, I'm not saying every Republican donor is suddenly not giving money. A lot of them will not. Perhaps most of them will not. And here's why. Donald Trump is at the top of that ticket. His name right there with J.D. Vance's name. And if these donors are already calling the Republican Party and saying, we got a problem here, it's not just because of those two guys at the top. It's because of what those two guys at the top do to everybody else on the ballot. Having these hated Republicans at the top of your ticket is going to draw out more Democrats. And it could cause a lot of Republicans to stay home. If that happens, which right now kind of looking like it could happen because of the major enthusiasm gap between the two parties right now, then all those other candidates on that ballot, Republicans are going to get absolutely wiped out in this year's election. Because that's the part of this, I think, a lot of people are forgetting about. And it's easy to forget about it, of course, because obviously the presidential race is the biggest one. They're the top of the ticket. But what happens with the top of the ticket affects everything down ballot. Not to mention the fact that there's a lot of ballot initiatives across the country this year, including in red states like my state of Florida, on issues that conservatives are not good on. Women's reproductive health freedom is on the ballot here in Florida. That's going to draw out a lot of non-conservative voters. Florida might actually be in play. I know I've said it's a red state, and I still think it'll stay a red state this cycle, but things are shifting in a way that doesn't help Donald Trump. And as these donors to the Trump campaign, to the RNC, to whatever, as they watch these things happen, as they see these state polls where Trump and Vance are dragging down these other Republicans in areas where Republicans usually win, these donors start thinking to themselves, why am I going to dump $1 million over here? Why am I going to give $500,000 to this super PAC that's only going to spend it on candidates that are going to lose? I'm not a stupid guy with my money. I want to invest in winners, and this year doesn't look like we got a lot of winners. So I will hold my investments. I will not be putting money back into this year's cycle. Instead, I'll wait till 2026. I will invest heavily in the midterms. Maybe I'll start my own super PAC. And by then, maybe the Republican Party will have competent leadership instead of Donald Trump's two hand-picked idiots. And then we'll start giving again. That's where these donors are right now. They have not gone as far as to pull the trigger on that idea. But that idea is what is kicking around in their heads right now. So again, because Trump and Vance are so bad at the top of that ticket, it means that every Republican on those ballots across the country could also be impacted. And the more we get these devastating poll numbers, which there seems to be polls coming out every day with more bad news for Trump, it makes it less likely that these donors are going to continue to give. Which, of course, in turn, will leave the Republican Party having to rely solely on the small dollar donors. A lot of those small dollar donors, by the way, are already totally tapped out. They don't have any more to give. We've given you $10, we've given you $20, sometimes even $50, and we can't do it again. We gave it all after Trump got convicted, and he's blown it. So the big dollar donors are the ones who are threatening to pull out. They see the writing on the wall. They're admitting not only is there not a landslide coming for Donald Trump, but now there's a good chance we're going to lose. And these people do not want to invest millions of dollars with nothing to show for it. So I do think in the coming weeks, maybe even coming months, but I don't think it'll take that long, I think these people are going to start pulling out. I genuinely think these big-time Republican donors are going to say, we've had enough. We see the writing on the wall. We're going to lose this year. So we're not going to invest anything else in the Republican Party. And that is going to crush Republicans in a year when they've already had really pathetic fundraising. Hi, everyone. This here is little Athena. And Athena would like to know why you haven't subscribed to Fair and Balanced yet. So please, don't let Athena down. Subscribe today.